Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bronson's Soapbox. This week I want to talk about the new Zelda Breath of the Wild. It got its reveal, or not its reveal, but its big gameplay reveal at E3, and everybody and their mother keeps talking about how it's so awesome that we're finally getting an open world, non-linear Zelda game and how you can do all this crazy stuff. I'm super excited. But it's not the first time Zelda hasn't been linear. In fact, that's how Zelda started out, and recently, with A Link Between Worlds and now Breath of the Wild, it just is kind of going back to its roots. You see, early Zelda games, specifically the original 2 and A Link to the Past, were mostly non-linear. Yeah, you needed some items to progress, but for the most part, if you want to do the Water Temple first, and you know where it is, go for it. Hey, you need an item for a boss? Well, it wasn't always in the dungeon, so you better get out and start exploring. This approach made those early games feel like more of an arcadey adventure. The same feeling people would get from the Elder Scrolls games, far later. Or, my parallel would be exploring in World of Warcraft and EverQuest. It was this game that was trying to evoke a sense of adventure. In fact, Miyamoto, the creator of Zelda, even says he got it from exploring caves and woods, the idea for Zelda from exploring caves and woods, when he was a young boy. So, what happened? Why did Nintendo go with this approach until recently? And the answer is 3D happened. 3D was a fundamental change to how we play games, and in Zelda's case, it was technical limitations partially, and wanting to focus on new graphics and wanting a more cinematic feel. So Zelda had to switch things up. So instead of running along, killing everything quickly, dodging, and being able to do stuff mostly out of order, you had smaller, more intimate battles, the introduction of Z-targeting, which, Z-targeting now every game has lock-on. But that was like one of the first games to really have lock-on and understand how you should do 3D combat. It was a more tactical game, a Dark Souls style game for the time, but far easier. And with 3D being intimidating, things needed to be more linear. You gotta remember, Ocarina of Time was like the first game of its kind with this big world, and to a lot of people, they were intimidated by 3D games. So things needed to be more linear. And you had a guide, even though she was annoying as hell in Navi, you still had a guide to tell you where to go, and items were found in dungeons that you used on the boss in that dungeon. Can't get into a dungeon? Well, that's because you need to do this specific mini dungeon to get an item to let you in. Yeah, there were still secrets and special items, the Begoron sword or hearts and stuff. But if you want to progress in the main game, you really didn't have to explore and adventure all that much. Or craft all that much. It was temple, 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 temple. They tell you where to go, and you just go along your way. And most people in my age group are younger. That's their first Zelda, or one of that game's successors. Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Skyward Sword, things of that nature. And those are all great games. I'm not saying that any of those games are bad. Skyward Sword is kind of iffy, but for the most part, those are all incredible games. But this was a pretty big shift, going from it's all about adventure and exploration to, we have adventure and exploration, especially in Wind Waker with all these islands and side stuff to do, but it's more about this story and these epic moments, like fighting Ganon on horseback, or, going to the underwater castle, or, things of that nature. And I'm glad that things are opening up, because the heart of Zelda is adventure and exploration, which is harder to do in a linear game. The Zelda games, I've played through Ocarina of Time this year. I've started on another Majora's Mask playthrough, and, been watching our Super Mega Awesome Go Playtime series. And, Zelda still has a sense of adventure in this world that's really well made, but you feel like you're being led, and you're not, doing it yourself. And things recently have been opening up more. Link Between Worlds was the first non-remake Zelda for the 3DS, and after the first few dungeons. The rest of it was non-linear. And the majority of the items you get by renting or buying from Ravio's shop right out of the gate. Right before the first dungeon, you get a whole sack full of all the best items if you were willing to go farm rupees. And it was all about exploring, and you could some of the items you didn't get in dungeons. And it was the first Zelda in recent memory that changed how I went into Zelda, because up until up until A Link Between Worlds, I would go into a Zelda game and know, okay, forest, water, fire, 2 to 4 other elemental or light or some type of dungeon, fight side boss, fight Ganon. And Link Between Worlds really changed that, and now Breath of the Wild seems to, be going way over the top with that. People, and I'm glad, because Zelda is a franchise that, especially now, needed a breath of fresh air, because every game has been playing from that Ocarina of Time template of can't jump, auto jump's a thing, you get the items in a specific order, you use the item from the dungeon to beat the boss, you have epic boss fights, you have block puzzles, da 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 da. And I think with this new open world stuff and all these mechanical systems of cooking and weather and crafting, you can do some really interesting things with The Legend of Zelda in an open world, with this huge open world where almost anything is possible. And I mean, who doesn't want to beat the tutorial and go straight for Ganon naked and lighting everything on fire? Anyway, that's been my soapbox for the week. Hopefully the new Zelda turns out as awesome as we all hope it'll be. And everyone's pegging that to be the real big cap off to the Wii U's life and the NX's start. Please watch all our other shows. We got 2 podcasts on Scripted Access and the Gamecast. We got our Quick Look series where we check out at least one new release every week with 6-minute access. We got our Let's Play series from Awesome Go Playtime, where we are in the back half of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. We also have our art series, Playing God. Follow on Twitter @TheGamerAccess, and we'll see y'all next week.